Hey, what's up you guys, it's Ariana. I'm going to show you how to make one of those trendy patchwork style tops that I've been seeing all over Pinterest, but in a way that is easy and kind of a cheater type of way, but it works out great. You will, however, need to have a sewing machine for this technique. This is just a very basic top that I thrifted, and I was inspired to do this actually because the sleeves and the hem actually already have a lettuce hem, and pretty much what we're going to do is lettuce hem the whole thing. But the type of top that you'll need is something that's really stretchy. I think a rib knit type of material works the best for this. The first thing I did was actually remove the tags because I wanted the back to be the front. I wasn't really digging the scoop neck look in the front, so I figured to have a high neckline, why not just turn it around? That way the scoop neck is in the back. I also removed the existing binding around the neckline because I knew that I wanted to do the lettuce hem around the edge as well. Like I mentioned, my top actually already had the lettuce hems on the sleeves and the hem, but I'm actually going to go over it because I am choosing a white thread to do kind of a contrast color, so I figured I would make it all match and redo the edges there. Depending on the color of your top, you can get creative with the color of thread that you choose, since you'll be seeing it on the outside of the top. Now before I actually do the lettuce hem around the edges, I thought I would map out the design that I wanted on the front, so I went with a straight vertical line and then a couple of horizontal lines as well. You can kind of play around and do whatever style you want, if you want it asymmetrical or if you want to do everything, you know, exactly symmetrical, it's up to you. But just use a ruler and some chalk or fabric pen or something like that to make your markings. Just make sure that your top is laying completely flat and straightened out before you actually map out anything. That way it's straight and even. Okay, and then to do your lettuce hem, you're going to take your top over to your sewing machine and make sure the stitch setting is set to a zigzag, one that's kind of wide and close together, if your machine has that kind of option. And then you want to have your fabric facing wrong side up and start with the edge rolled over about 1/8 of an inch before you actually put your presser foot down. And then to stitch, you're actually going to have one side of the zigzag hitting the fabric and then the other side of the zigzag to actually land off of the fabric. So what it'll do is create kind of a nice finished edge that will curl, and then basically you're just going to stretch the fabric as you sew, and that'll create kind of like this wavy lettuce detail. So the best way that I find to stretch the fabric is actually to stretch from the back and from the front as well, and then just keep an even tension as the machine just feeds the fabric through. I find that it just goes a lot smoother than just pulling from the front. So you're just going to do this along the raw edge, rolling the raw edge over 1/8 of an inch as you go and stretching it to top. You may notice that one direction of the fabric doesn't stretch as much as another, but if you get a rib knit type of material like this one, it will still create a bit of a wavy pattern. Okay, so now to create that patchwork type of look, what you can do and what I've seen other people do is actually cut the shirt along the lines that you want for your design, or if you're wanting to include some scraps of fabric from other tops or other, you know, patterns or things like that, then what you would do is cut it and then just let us hem them together along the edge so that the seam is facing the right side out. But what I'm going to do is show you how to create that same kind of look but without actually having to cut it. So that's kind of what makes this a little bit easier. So if you remember those lines that I drew on the front as like my design guide, what I'm actually going to do is fold the top along those lines and then use that as my edge to stretch and sew a lettuce hem. So the vertical line down the front, for example, I am folding it in half and just making sure the rest of the shirt is just out of the way and won't get caught in the machine. And then I will just stretch and sew that same technique with the zigzag stitch, with one side of the zigzag hitting the fabric and then the other side off of the fabric. And then it'll look like this. You see how even though vertically there's not as much stretch as horizontal, it still did create that kind of lettucey wavy pattern. And then do the same for any horizontal lines that you have. You could even do curved or diagonal lines, kind of whatever design you want to do. Just map it out using a ruler and then just pinch it along the line and then use that as your edge to lettuce hem. And then do two kind of like separate asymmetrical lines horizontal, you know, around the waist as well, just to give it something different. And then I basically just did the same thing to the back, but I did kind of change up the pattern a little bit. I did a straight line down the back as well, but then my horizontal lines are a little bit different from the front. And then I decided I wanted to do the sleeves as well, so I just did one line across the front of the sleeve. Again, you can kind of get creative and do whatever lines or things that you want to do. And you could even go over every single seam, like if you wanted to go around the armholes, you could do that. I think I did down the sides as well. And then again, just make sure that you finish off your sleeves and the bottom of your hem as well. I did the hem last just in case to kind of like just finish it off cleanly. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's really simple. All it takes is just mastering that lettuce technique, and then really you can do any design that you want. But I thought this was a fun, really easy way to not have to actually cut pieces apart, but still get that same look. But yeah, give it a try. If you do, please tag me on Instagram. That way I can see it, like it, and share it, and use the hashtag #BeRecreative. And follow me on Instagram as well, @TheRecreative. I'd love to connect with you over there as well. But yeah, I hope you found this DIY interesting or helpful, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye!